Hey ho, let's go. Happy Monday to everyone. Hope you are well wherever you are. Hi, Sean Pugsley Martin. This is episode 30 of Pugsley's Pit. As we always do, by the way, we are back from vacation, better than ever. Great time in Cape Cod the last week. But now back to business. And as I was beginning to say, as we always do, at the start of each show, we're asking you the question, where else would you rather be than right here, right now? By way of introduction, I am a freelance sports writer for the Albany Times Union. I am a big time sports enthusiast, and an even bigger homer for my sports team, sans apologies. Raiders, Bruins, A's, and over my shoulder, the Huskers. We'll get to them in a little bit. Might need some more tissues. You can follow the show on Twitter at Pugsley Spit, taking the podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Tonight, it's NFL preview and prediction time here in Pugsley Spit, a wild offseason with many big names being traded. Offseason dominated by the Deshaun Watson situation, resulting in 11-game suspension for him. A little later in the show, we'll get into my world, the ugliness that was the Husker season opening loss to Northwestern over in Dublin. Probably the only real bright spot of that thing is all the free beer that the Husker fans got to drown their sorrows in when the credit card machines went down at the stadium. Free beer and food for everybody. Why not? And a quick update on the Oakland Athletics also. But before we get to the show, we have a new sponsor. And as we all know, the wait is almost over. A new football season is about to begin. Get ready for NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Want more action on opening night? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. Get up 7, you win. Bet on any NFL team of your choice, and if your team leads by 7 points at any point in the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code 518 to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code 518 only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner with the NFL. Reminder, you must be 21 or older and physically present in New York. Bonus issued as free bets. One early win token issued and opt-in. Moneyline bets only. Deposit and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/football terms. Gambling problem? Call 877-8-HOPE-NY, HOPENY, or text HOPENY 467-369. Let's get right to the NFL. We're going to go division by division, right? See where each team stack up. Big cut down day tomorrow, but shouldn't be too many surprises, and certainly even less earth-shattering moves. But we're going to start in the AFC East. Buffalo. It's now or never for the Bills, right? If not now, when? Kind of is that the logic here? So close 2 years ago. Then last year, the classic playoff game in Kansas City, in the AFC divisional, a grueling, gut-wrenching overtime loss. How will the Bills respond? I think they're going to respond very well. I think they'll win the East again. Second year in a row. I think a lot of it's they're really good, and the rest of the division is just not able to compete with them. Josh Allen is a stud. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. He can beat you two different ways. It's his time. And I think Buffalo's going to cruise in this division. Although I will say this, I don't think Miami, the Jets, and New England are close to Buffalo, but they're not that bad. I actually like Miami for one reason: Tyreek Hill. That dude, he's a game-breaking player. You have to count on him for every single snap. But his quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, it's now or never for Tua, right? There's been doubt cast on his arm strength. Tyreek says it's fine. We're going to find out. But I think Miami is set to have a nice season. I think they're going to finish second in the East, and right behind them, little upset here. I like the Jets. I like what the Jets have been doing. If Zach Wilson can get healthy, I think the Jets are going to beat out New England. I think the Pats are going to finish last. I don't like what the Patriots are doing with their coordinator positions. I think Bill Belichick's trying to outthink the NFL. He's the greatest coach in the history of the league, but I don't see it. And by preseason, you take it. It is what it is, right? It's preseason. Teams could have bad games. They could be working on different things. You don't really know. But the Pats haven't looked good, and they didn't look good at all against the Raiders the other night, even in the scrimmages. From everything I was reading, even from the Pats beat writers, the Pats' number one defense was getting shredded in practice by the Raiders' number one offense. And then the game, the Raider backups played very well and had their way with New England. I think the Pats are going to finish last. Write it down. If I'm wrong, I'll never apologize, but we'll see. But that's one of the upset picks of the year. New England last place in the East. Let's go to the North. Cincinnati was Cinderella last year. They made the Super Bowl. Were in it in the last couple of minutes till they fell a little bit short. Interesting division here this year. I think the Bengals, I'm picking Baltimore more by default than anything else. I think Lamar Jackson he's one of the great athletes to ever play the quarterback position. He is a top tier quarterback in the league. I don't think he's a good enough passer to get his team to a Super Bowl. He's got one of the best tight ends at his disposal, Mark Andrews. But that's not what the Ravens do. They're not a pass happy team. The Ravens are going to run the ball. J.K. Dobbins can come back healthy. They have a lot of running backs there. That's going to ground and pound is going to be their motto for the year. The only reason I'm not picking the Bengals is I think you have some regression. It happens every year when you lose a Super Bowl. It just things don't break right the next year. I think Joe Burrow is a franchise quarterback. I think Joe Burrow in the next 5 years is going to become one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league. Jamar Chase, great receiver. There's a lot of weapons there. That offensive line was a disaster in the Super Bowl. I think they've adjusted. I think they've improved. Love Zach Taylor as a coach, former Husker quarterback. I just think there's going to be a regression. Super Bowl hangover. You get there, you don't win it. Things always and the McPherson kicker got to miss a kick at some point this season, right? Mr. Automatic last year in the postseason was incredible. Again, I'm going to take the Ravens narrow over the Bengals. Just not so much anything on paper. It's just I think the Bengals are going to have some sort of natural step back. Got Pittsburgh finishing third. I'm not sure. Mr. Trubisky, we'll see. I think Kenny Pickett probably needs a little bit of time. Mason Rudolph, I don't think is a full-fledged NFL quarterback. But I love Najee Harris. Feed him. Let T.J. Watt do his thing on the defensive side of the ball. 7-10 for Pittsburgh. Does that sound right? Yeah, no playoffs. They're going to miss Ben Roethlisberger, though I think he's stuck around for at least a year too long. That's just what they're looking at there for Mike Tomlin. Cleveland, I've gone on record here. I think they really botched this whole quarterback thing. I love Deshaun Watson, the quarterback. I'm not so sure I love him as the person. And he got himself an 11-game suspension. He's lucky it wasn't the whole season. Shit, if I were them, I would have tried to find a way to make peace with Baker Mayfield. He kept him around for 11 games. Because now it's Jacoby Brissett, who's a capable backup, but he's not a starting quarterback in the league. Brown's going to finish last. Maybe Watson comes back and maybe he rediscovers some of the magic he had in Houston. And that's if he comes back. That 11 games, if he's not compliant with the with the NFL and some of the counseling he's going to have to undergo, that could get extended. And he hasn't really shown his remorse. He apologized for the situation. He doesn't really, by all accounts, seem to think he did anything wrong. I don't know how that's going to play. So I think Cleveland's got a major distraction. On the other hand, they're taking it for last place in the North. It's called the Central. In the South, I'm going to take Indy. Jonathan Taylor is a force. Jonathan Taylor, very well aware of him from his days at Wisconsin. Um, Seemed like he picked up from Melvin Gordon for the Badgers by gashing the Huskers for hundreds of yards every time they played him. Taylor's only 23. My concern with Jonathan Taylor, it doesn't matter for this year, but my concern with Jonathan Taylor is that he's going to be one of those running backs that the Colts are going to run him into the ground. He's going to have a great 5 or 6 year career. But as you know, with running backs, there's only so many carries in their legs. Enjoy it now, Indy. He's a stud player. He's fun to watch. He's going to lead them. I'm not a fan of Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan's days are gone. But Matt Ryan just needs to manage that game. Don't lose it. You know, let the running game do their thing. That should be enough to win the division. Well, really, because Tennessee was the top seed in the AFC last year. Smoke and mirrors, give him credit. But I'm not a Ryan Tannehill fan. I don't think he's not a Super Bowl quarterback. I don't think he's an AFC Championship quarterback. And I think he's actually on the hot seat. We'll see what Malik Willis can do. The rookie from Liberty, that's the fun storyline with Tennessee. But again, they don't ask their quarterbacks to do too much. Manage the game, let Derrick Henry get loose. And Mike Vrabel's one of the top coaches in the league. I like Tennessee. I think they're going to snip the playoffs and just come up short because I just don't think they have it at the quarterback position this year. Jacksonville, could it be any worse than last year? It can't be any worse than last year. Well, it's like because Urban Meyer's gone and Doug Peterson's in, and Doug Peterson's coached the team to a Super Bowl. Urban Meyer, 1 year, not even 1 year. It's going to go down as the worst coach in the history of the NFL. Over Lou Holtz and his disastrous tenure with the New York Jets. So, but I like Jacksonville. We're going to see what Trevor Lawrence has in year 2. Last year, you almost have to throw that away for the Jags. It was just a disaster. Everything. Off-season Urban was just terrible. So in Houston, not a lot of talent there. Davis Mills is their quarterback. I'm not sure how far that's going to take them. We'll have to see. But, that division's kind of cool. And you look at Tennessee and you look at Indy, decent chance of wild card comes out of this because you get 4 games against the Jags and the Texans. And, I don't know if Jacksonville can make that leap in 1 year. It'll be fun to find out. Let's go to the West. Look, I'm a homer. I ain't stupid either. Devontae Adams in Las Vegas, salivating over this Raiders season. We're going to talk more about that. We got a show coming up in a couple of nights. I'll tell you about that a little later. It's going to be devoted really to the Raider Nation. But I love what the Raiders have done in the offseason, getting Adams. I don't care about giving up those picks. I don't care that he's 29. He is the best wide receiver in the NFL, and that's saying something with some of the other guys in there. But when you look at the Raider offense, the key is the offensive line. And there's a little concern on the right side. Alex Leatherwood has been awful in the preseason. Not even sure he's going to make the team. Brandon Parker, last year's right tackle, is hurt. I'm not even sure if he's going to even be there this year. Leatherwood was an average guard, and maybe they should slide him back inside the right guard. Dylan Parham looks like he's going to win that left guard spot over John Simpson. So maybe you got a little bit of depth there for Vegas. But the problem is at the right tackle position. If they can find a way to address it, if they can get a veteran that gets cut down day, then maybe you got something here. But beyond that, you got Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow on the other side, and just the amount of attention Adams is going to take, that opens up the middle for Darren Waller. The reports are he hasn't practiced much in the preseason, but you heard that he's close to a major contract extension with him and Renfrow. And you have a Josh Jacobs who ran angry the last 4 games of last year and into the playoffs. Didn't get his 5th-year option picked up. I think he's primed for a big year. I've been a Derek Carr fan since he took his first snap in the Meadowlands. as a rookie back in 2013. I think the Raiders are going to win the West. The defense has improved. I'm excited about Josh McDaniels coming in, Patrick Graham running the defense, Chandler Jones and Max Strauss coming off the wings. It's still thinking Ndamukong Suh, now the camp is over, is going to show up, help fortify that middle with a little bit of nastiness. The Raiders are going to win the West. Second, I'm going with the Chargers. Yeah, listen, all 7 of you fans, have at it. Good luck. Second place. Herbert's a great player. Got to learn how to win a big game or here or there. We'll see. I mean, he's down a quarterback. There's no question about it. The Chargers have some players. Adding Khalil Mack to go on the other side of Joey Bosa, that's as good a twosome as you have in football. And Derwin James, he just got paid. Good for him. He's a great player. I think the Chargers are going to definitely be in the mix. I think this year they make the playoffs after a near miss last year. Kansas City's going to regress, and I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with me because I think a lot of people get infatuated with Pat Mahomes, and I understand why. He's a great quarterback. Got off to a terrible start last year. I think he was trying to do too much, but they're going to miss Tyreek Hill, and I think Travis Kelce is going to miss Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is doing his thing, and he's taking the top off of the defense. That made Travis Kelce even more dangerous. They don't have that. And I know they brought in a couple guys, like Sky Moore, the rookie, and they got a couple other burners, but they're not Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs are going to miss him. I'm not sure what kind of running game they have. Third place for the Chiefs. Last, look, everybody's going gushing over Russell Wilson going to Denver. Russell Wilson's best football was 9 years ago. That's when Seattle won the Super Bowl. He's a good quarterback. He's not going to go in and transcend it. We're talking about him and the receivers in Denver. I don't care who's throwing the ball. If Jerry Jeudy keeps dropping it, it doesn't matter if it's Drew Lock or Russell Wilson. So I think Denver is the most overrated team in the league. I think people they get caught up in the Russell Wilson thing just a little bit too much. So I don't see it. Last place for Denver, 6-11. Before we get to the NFC, please join Gozilla Media this Thursday live from the Iron's Edge in Ballston Spa from 6 to 7:30. Great golf, food, and drinks as we prepare you for your fantasy football draft. I will be there for that draft. For more information, visit the Iron's Edge on Facebook. Can't wait for the draft. I got 4 fantasy drafts, I think, in 6 days coming up. See how we do. Always remember something, by the way. If you're going to fantasy football, best rater available. That's the logic, folks. That's the logic. Let's go to the NFC East. Another division. 2 teams just got no shot. I'm not a huge Jalen Hurts fan. I think there's some of the pundits that know a lot more about this than I do that are. He's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he does make plays with his legs. He's settled in. I think this is his 3rd year in Philly where he's really going to take over the offense. I'm taking Philly by default here because I just don't buy it with Dallas. Every year you wait for Dallas, Dak Prescott to become Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman. But I don't know what the Cowboys have done. They got rid of Amari Cooper. Kind of a mistake. Did you really replace him? Michael Gallup's out with a knee. They say he's going to be back for opening day. We'll see. I think they're putting a lot of stock on CeeDee Lamb stepping up and becoming the alpha male wide receiver, and he's certainly capable of it. But I don't see it. And the interesting thing with Dallas will be, what do they do with their running back position? Ezekiel Elliott. Remember what I said about Jonathan Taylor? There are only so many carries in running backs' legs. So if I'm Dallas, I'm using Tony Pollard and his speed a little more, pull back on Ezekiel Elliott, make a little bit more of a committee there. Then I think you may have something. So I think Elliott's on the wrong side of the hill for his career. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. Do they go with the veteran that's given them a lot of great years, or do they mix it up a little bit? Washington, awful news of Brian Robinson and apparent carjacking or nothing else resulting. He got some bullet wounds yesterday. Hope for speedy recovery for him. Enjoyed watching him in Alabama. There is word today that he may be back this season. I hope he is. That's just shitty news. He's a rookie. But bad for anybody, whether he's in the NFL or not. But it's sad for this young man and trying to make the team. And by all accounts, he had really made a big impression, even past Antonio Gibson, possibly on the commander. I call him the Redskins. The commander's depth chart, but hopefully gets back speedy. I'm not going to buy Carson Wentz. The only reason they're not projected for last place is because we're in the same division with Little Blue, who's giving Daniel Jones another ride. Good luck. If there's some good QBs coming out next year, the Giants should be one of the top guys in the draft. Yeah, they have Tyrod Taylor to back them up. And I like Tyrod Taylor. He's a very serviceable quarterback. If Tyrod Taylor is your starting quarterback, you're looking, if you have any talent, you're looking at 7 and 10, 8 and 9. That's kind of who he is. He's gonna make some good plays and make some bad plays. But the Giants don't have a lot of talent. Saquon Barkley's fighting for his career right now after that knee injury a few years ago. He's not been the same. The one thing I will say for the Giants is the hierarchy that they brought in from Buffalo seems like great choices. But if the players aren't there to run the system and execute what Brian Daboll is going to be trying to be doing, it might take the Giants a year or two to really kind of get going under the new coach, and it's going to start with a quarterback change. NFC North, I think Aaron Rodgers is a grade A douche. Forget his politics for a minute. His presser a couple weeks ago when he really started bashing the young wide receivers, that just wasn't cool. I mean, dude, you're a veteran, you're a Hall of Famer, you won a Super Bowl. You don't like the way your guys have practiced that day? Don't call him the media. How's that going to help anybody's confidence? Pull them aside, explain to them what the expectations are, how they got to do better, lead by example, instead of going through the press and being selfish. So I'll stand by that. But that said, I don't like this division a lot. That's why I like Green Bay up here. They can't win playoff games to save their lives, but at least they get there. My sleeper team for the division is Detroit. Love the coach. Love Coach Campbell. I love the attitude that he has brought to the Lions. I think Aiden Hutchinson's going to be good off the edge, and Jared Goff. Jared Goff took a team to a Super Bowl a few years ago. Yeah, they got their behinds kicked. They ran, but he's been there, right? He's not a top 10 quarterback. He's not a top 15 quarterback. But if you manage the game right, he may not screw it up. For Minnesota, Dalvin Cook's healthy, great. Justin Jefferson's one of the top receivers in the game. I just don't see it there. I'm not a Kirk. I used to really like Kirk Cousins, but I've seen enough. He ain't it. I think Minnesota's going to take a step back. Let me rephrase that. I think Detroit's going to take enough of a step up where they're going to get second place over Minnesota. Chicago, they're going to have to get there. They got to figure out the Roquan Smith thing, get him signed. The one thing the Bears really have going for them is I love Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields has a bright future there. The Bears just need to be patient, build for another year or two around their quarterback, and they'll be fine. Okay, I think they'll be okay. But for this year, I don't think so. Again, we're talking a lot of teams 6 and 11, 7 and 10. 7 and 10 would probably be good for last place in the North. With Minnesota, 8 and 9, 9 and 8. I think Detroit may threaten 10 wins this year. Let's go to the South, which could just rename itself the worst division in football. I'm going to pick Tampa to win the division, really by default. Tom Brady's back from his little hiatus. Good for him. Hey, they let him go. Did he go on vacation to the Bahamas with his family, like some reports are? Doesn't matter. Who cares, right? The employer said it was fine. I don't think you worry about Brady. I think he's earned the benefit of the doubt that he can come back after anything, any layoff, whatever. He's going to be sharp. I don't know how much that impacts his rapport with the timing with the receivers and whatnot, running the offense. I think the biggest concern with Tampa his injury. They've lost two offensive linemen already in the preseason. That's going to be the biggest challenge. But that said, winning the division, not so tough. New Orleans got some players, but I'm not a Jameis Winston fan. 30 picks a few years ago when he was with Tampa before Brady got there. Yeah, he had 30 touchdowns, but when you give it away as much as you touchdowns, that's losing football. So, but we're on second place because Carolina. I'm interested to see the Baker Mayfield story here. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. I like Baker Mayfield. I think he's a decent quarterback. Can be above average if he got some players around him, and he has a lot to prove. Right? Cleveland ran him out of town. It's just distant, man. They did him dirty. So we'll see what Baker's got. But there's not much there for Carolina. And the only reason the Panthers aren't going to finish last is Atlanta's probably the worst team in the league. I love Marcus Mariota as a backup for the Raiders. I don't know how good of a starting quarterback he's going to be. Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati may end up getting a look. And I think if it goes south on the Falcons, I would get Ridder in the game. If you're in week 8 or 9 and you're 2-7, 1-8, play the kid and see what you have, because you have, by account, you have some decent quarterbacks coming out of the draft next year. So you want to know, is your franchise quarterback on your roster or not? You're not going to find out too much about Desmond Ridder if he's carrying the football. You know what Mariota is. So you can see I see a quarterback change happening there mid-year. Let's go out west. Hey, the Rams are the champs, and then the nature boy Ric Flair used to say, to be the man, you got to beat the man, right? You want to beat the Rams, you got to handle 99 there right in the middle. Aaron Donald, he is, by now, I mean, if he's not the greatest defensive tackle to ever play the game, he's on the list. He's on the list of 2 or 3, and he's earned that. And he is just a man-child back there. So you got to go with the Rams. I mean, Matt Stafford's a good quarterback. They have what works. They got a great defense. Jalen Ramsey out there, shut down corner. Other in the West, Arizona. Yeah, Kyler Murray got paid. We're going to find out. They took away that 4-hour study clause, mostly because I think it embarrassed them. And they realized that once that got leaked, they just signed this young man to a big contract, and then they outed him by leaking that. But we'll see if maybe he's got something to prove too. But it's also a team that my old friend Eric McDowell on the old M&M Across the Board podcast pointed out. Cliff Kingsbury teams, even going back to college, once they turn the second half of their year, they're terrible. And I don't know if it's so much Kyler Murray as Cliff Kingsbury. Is he in over his head as an NFL coach? Because they don't win games the second half of the year. Yeah, they made the playoffs last year, but Jesus Christ, they started off 10-1. They got their tails kicked in the first playoff game, by the Rams. So I do like Arizona in second, though, only because I'm not a believer in Trey Lance. I think he needs more time. Frisco giving him the keys to the car. I'm a staunch believer that quarterbacks need reps. And he has not had very many going back to his days in 1AA college. He's by all accounts, he's a physical marvel. Great arm. Very smart. But you have to take reps. And he didn't get really any last year, and he didn't play his last year in North Dakota. Or wherever he played. I don't buy it. And I think he's really going to have a big learning curve. And I think what Frisco did today, very smart, was to re-up Jimmy Garoppolo on a 1-year deal, on a 1-year restructure, to keep him around, because by all reports, Lance has really struggled in preseason. So we're going to find out very quickly. But I think, honestly, I think if Garoppolo takes over in Frisco, they finish second over Arizona and make the playoffs. Last place, Seattle, they're in full rebuild mode. I'm surprised Pete Carroll's there. Congratulations to Geno Smith for beating out Drew Lock for the quarterback position, but when those are your choices, yeah, get ready for the draft. I hope the scouting department, they have a lot of time on Saturdays watching college football. They may challenge Atlanta for the worst team in the league. We'll see. Seattle. It's gonna be a long year. All right, playoff predictions. Pugsley's picks. New segment on the show. AFC playoff teams. Division winners: Buffalo, Baltimore, Indy, Las Vegas Raiders. The wild cards: the Chargers, Cincinnati, and Kansas City. AFC Championship. Yeah, you know what? Look, I'm a homer. Okay, this is the year. This is the year. First time since '02. Raider Nation. We're going to the Super Bowl. Vegas over Buffalo in the AFC title game. Write that down. NFC. Division champs, Philly, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Rams, wild cards. I'm going to go Dallas. I'm going to say Arizona just because Lance is officially the starter in Frisco. Like I said, if Garoppolo plays over half the games, I think Frisco takes that spot. Arizona's out. And I'm picking the Detroit Lions to go to the playoffs. Call me crazy, but I'm doing it. NFC title, I'm going to take Tampa Bay over the Rams. I think Tampa Bay is going to cruise into the playoffs. They don't have a tough division schedule to manage. You got 6 games there with New Orleans, Carolina, Atlanta. Those 6 wins. Okay, that gives you a leg up. I think they avenged last year's playoff loss to the Rams in the NFC title game. Brady, 45 years old. Tom, get out. Get out. I think he gets back to the Super Bowl, and what I hope it's his last year. But this time, they call it a fumble. When Jonathan Abram or Nate Hobbs gets in on a sack, it's a fumble this year. It's not a tuck. In the Super Bowl, 57. Las Vegas Raiders over. Again, right. All right. We're going to go to my world before we get to the Huskers. Last year on my old podcast, M&M, I correctly picked Georgia to win the national championship. I got one right. It's not too bad. I was pretty happy about that. You know what? Getting it right 4 times out of 50 tries. The other 4 were the Huskers in 94, 95, and 97 when I just picked them every year. Not bad. 4 out of 50 is pretty good. Final 4, look, I'm going boring and I'm going chalk because these are just the best teams. Alabama, Nick Saban called last year rebuilding year and they lost in the national title game. Ohio State is still the class of the Big Ten. You know, Michigan got there last year, but Ohio State's just so good. And even losing receivers, Olave and Wilson, they're still deep as all hell. You got to like the Buckeyes here. C.J. Stroud's a great quarterback. Georgia, just massive losses on defense, but you still like Georgia. They're going to still be tough in the SEC. I'm tempted to take Texas A&M to get there, but one league, logistically speaking, one league is not going to get 3 teams in. So if I'm going to pick Alabama and Georgia, they're better than A&M, I think. Just can't go with the Aggies, but it wouldn't shock me if they do. And as much as I like Notre Dame, I like to root for him. Grandma, rest in peace. Big Irish fan. Passed away a few months ago. The thought of Notre Dame, they're starting the season preseason ranked 5th. But part of me really hopes to get their doors blown off at Ohio State and get them out of the discussion because the thought of Notre Dame getting back into the Final Four, it makes my head hurt because they get blown out every time they get there. So who's left? How about Clemson, right? They'll rejoin the party after a 1-year playoff sabbatical. We'll see what Dabo can do. But I think Clemson will get there. So Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson for the national title. You know what? Can you go wrong by picking Nick Saban every year? I don't pick him every year, but he got his ass handed to him in the national title game last year. So I think they're going to chip on the shoulder for Bama. The Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young, is back. Although I think this year, the Heisman Trophy Will Anderson, outstanding, outstanding Alabama defensive player. Watch him play, folks. He is something special. So that's it for the global view on college football. Now, let's get to the Huskers. I was going to save this for Wednesday's show for the My World segment. Quite frankly, I just want to get it over. Where to begin? You know what? Bear with me a minute. Bear with me. I love my Huskers. I've been a Husker fan for almost 50 years. That flag was flying at 6 a.m. Saturday outside my house. I was stoked for the game. Oh, we got such a great start. Hey, the problem is I've seen this movie before. Too much. Send beer. Help out. Help a Husker fan out. So you know what? We're going to call timeout. No onside kicks here. We're going to call timeout. This is what my Huskers are doing to me. Okay, I can talk about it. I've always loved Scott Frost. He won a national title as a quarterback in '97. When he got hired from UCF, I was euphoric. This was the guy that was going to bring us back. I read a stat the other day that I really wish I didn't know. Scott Frost is 15-30 at Nebraska. If he wins his next 50 games, he's still not going to have as good a record as Bo Pelini did when Bo Pelini got there. You go to the Northwestern game, Huskers down 17-14 at a half when they really should have had the lead. They had a turnover down inside the red zone. Okay, it happens. They get two quick touchdowns in the second half. All of a sudden, you're up 28-17. You got all the momentum in the world. Huskers go for an onside kick. I get the logic. You're going for the kill, right? If you get it, now you got the ball. You got two quick touchdowns. You got a ball. You have a chance to go down again and get another score. And all of a sudden, you're looking at 35-17. You put the game away right there. I get the logic. Risk versus reward is the problem. The reward is massive. You could clinch a game. But the risk is now you give your opponent the ball, most likely in your own field position, or in your own side of the field, sorry. And now they get the lift. Short field, that's what happens. Northwestern scores. I don't think the Huskers didn't score again after that point because of the onside kick. I think they didn't score again after that point because Casey Thompson wasn't as good in the second half as he was in the first and threw a couple of picks. But if you kick the ball deep, you got the momentum, you have an 11-point lead. The worst thing that's going to happen is that Northwestern is going to have to go on a 70 to 80 yard drive, which they did. Helinski played really well, and they get a touchdown, but you still have the lead, okay? And yeah, they got a score, but you didn't get the emotional downshift for your own team, for Big Red, and the boost that Northwestern got from recovering that. Although I'll say this, I don't think the onside kickoff lost the game for Nebraska. I think what lost the game for Nebraska was turnovers. And the defensive line, which was supposed to be a big strength, got pushed around. Northwestern's got a good offensive line, but the Husker D line didn't get it done. That's why they lost the game. That and I loved watching Casey Thompson. That first drive was fantastic, but he had a little Adrian Martinez in him. Lots of good and too much bad. And I don't quite. I loved Adrian Martinez's effort for 4 years. But just when you thought things were going great, he would make a boneheaded play or just a sloppy play and a costly turnover. And that's what Thompson had. You hear Thompson's got a lot of confidence, a lot of swagger. We'll see. But he didn't get it done in the second half, and you got to get that from your quarterback. So again, You can blame the onside kickoff all you want. That didn't cost Nebraska a game. The defense, again, getting bullied and offensive turnovers. But the problem is this. I love Scott Frost. You couldn't ask for a worse start. This is another one-score loss. 8 of 9 losses last year were by less than a touchdown, and the 9th loss was by 9 points to Ohio State. This team doesn't know how to win games. This team doesn't know how to win the close game. They're good enough to be there. They're good enough with somebody. And you know what? You can't keep coming out in your presser afterwards and saying, we got to learn how to make plays. The time for that is past. And I love Scott Frost, but I don't know who else can help come and turn this thing around, or is this just what Nebraska football is? I hope not. Jesus, I don't need my guts getting ripped out every Saturday. Live and die with my team. Wow. And look, I'll be there. I'll be there Saturday against Georgia Southern. I believe in this team. I believe in the coach, and I'm going to until he's not my coach. I don't believe in the next guy. But North Dakota Saturday, then Georgia Southern. Not only do the Huskers have to win both games, they shouldn't be as close. They shouldn't be close. As good as those programs are in their own kind of world, the Huskers should win these games without having any fourth quarter trauma for its fan base. You can't expect the concession stands in Memorial Stadium to have a glitch, and you're going to have to give out free beer to everybody to get them through the day. A close win in the next 2 weeks before Oklahoma, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. What do you want your program to be? Nebraska is the only game in town for the whole state. There's a lot of pressure there, right? There's a lot of pressure. And just getting by isn't good enough. Don't get me wrong. I'll take any win. But all of these come from ahead losses. They are so pressured. So let's regroup. Get back at it, 3:30 Eastern on Saturday against North Dakota. Go on and kick the shit out of them, okay? Please, let's just get that. I want to touch on the A's real quick before we go. I'm not wishing the rest of my summer away or the early fall. This season kind of needs to end. It's not a AAA team, but it's a quadruple A team. I'm enjoying watching some of the kids play. But truth be told, this isn't a major league team that owner John Fisher's been trotting out there for his fan base. He should give him free beer to the A's game. However, a weekend split with the Yankees, yeah, it was fun. I trolled the hell out of a lot of people on Twitter, so I had a good time there. But it should not be a season highlight. But you know what? Here we are. So with that said, we are gonna move on. We're gonna get ready for Wednesday's show, and on Wednesday, coming up Wednesday, we're scheduled to have a great friend of the program, Mr. Kenny King Jr., to talk all things Las Vegas Raiders. The 53-man roster will be decided tomorrow. Will Alex Leatherwood be there? Will Clellan Ferrell be there? I don't know about Ferrell. I think he could find a role for Leatherwood. I don't know. It's not my call. I'll leave it up to Coach McDaniels and GM Dave Ziegler. So anyway, with Kenny King coming on here, plenty to discuss. And we're also going to introduce for college football, the closing segment, Pugsley's picks. As college football really gets in the swing this week, we'll throw 3 or 5 picks at you. See how we do. So that said, we will let you go. Enjoy your evening. It's football season, folks. NFL is less than 2 weeks away. NFL is about 10 days away. College football this weekend. Love it. Get it done. Enjoy your evening. Have a great week. We'll see you in a couple days.